Oh, it is the gripping true story of a young couple who take on the adventure of captaining a sailboat from Tahiti to San Diego until they hit a monster storm and are adrift on the severely damaged craft in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. The movie Adrift stars Shailene Woodley and Sam Claflin, and they join us today. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, so I first need to start with both of you. I want an answer on both of you for this. How did you feel about sailing before this film and then after? Ladies first.
Before doing this film, I had been on a few sailboats, but I was always the girl who was making the snacks and handing out the beers. And now I would say if you put me on a sailboat and you forced me to be alone, I could keep it afloat. I could sail it, but I don't know.
Don't touch the thing.
But I don't know that it's my sailing's really hard work. It's not easy by any means or romantic necessarily. So I think I'm more of a motorboat swimmer kind of chick than a sailor.
I beg to differ. Y'all make it look pretty romantic, at least for some of the movie.
We try.
Yeah.
So, Sam, what about you? Did you have much sailing experience before?
I had absolutely no sailing experience. I'd been on boats. So in all honesty, I think heading out to Fiji, I was terrified. I was terrified of what I was going to have to do, you know, because I had to be quite a seasoned sailor, and I think a part of me, knowing that I had absolutely no experience, was terrified about the sort of challenge that was going to bring. But I think, in all honesty, after going through this film, I genuinely fell in love with the ocean. I fell in love with the water, and I fell in love with. I didn't fall in love with boats, actually. No, I didn't. I was sick a few times. So it was a roller coaster ride, but I definitely grew to love it, and you know, I definitely would sail again, put it that way.
Okay, all right, that's what I wanted to know, if you guys will go sailing again. Shailene, let's talk about you for a second, because so much of this movie is so physical on your part. I mean, these scenes underwater, and I mean, was it as exhausting as it looks and as we watched?
It was exhausting simply because we weren't eating at all. And so when you're working out that much or exerting that much physical energy and you don't have any sustenance or fuel inside of you, you tend to feel pretty exhausted by the end of the day. And our hours were quite long, but you know, it sounds kind of insane to say, but anytime we got to that point of extreme exhaustion or got to the point of wanting to complain, we all kind of like looked around and we're like, but how can we complain right now? We're filming in the middle of the ocean. We're watching the sunrises and the sunsets. We see dolphins and the wild dolphins in the sea. And, you know, we all felt so remarkably lucky to just be there and recognize that it was a once in a lifetime experience, that it kind of negated any long-term feelings of exhaustion.
Yeah. Well, hey, I have to ask before we run out of time, because this obviously, as we said, a true story. How much of the woman that the story is based off of, how much was she a part of this? I mean, is it pretty true to the actual facts and kind of how this went down?
I mean, I think when you're making a film of a true story or based on a novel, even fictional, I think you have to kind of take some element of newness, that you have to bring a bit of yourself into it. So that there were, you know, some facts sort of slightly changed in order to kind of condense the story a little bit. But actually, it's very, very true. It's very true to, you know, what went down. There are just a few details that we kind of, you know, unfortunately had to miss in order to kind of make it as sort of dramatic and on point as possible, given the time. But Tammy, the real Tammy, she was so heavily involved, and every twist and turn gave us her blessing and was sort of there, open to kind of questions, and was willing to kind of share her experience as sort of honestly and you know, it's really inspirational kind of meeting her and having her on board and having her as sort of having her see this story come to life again. I'm sure is quite difficult, but like, she's just been nothing but positive and warm, and so just happy that we're able to be a part of it. So.
All right, well guys, job well done. The movie is out June 1st, and we can't wait for this to hit theaters. Thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank
you,
you,
Carly.
Have a good one.